Part 1. I wasn't looking for love. Not in a rainy bookstore on a quiet Sunday afternoon. But then she walked in. Auburn hair, eyes like autumn leaves, and a red scarf that didn't quite match her coat. She was chaos in human form, and somehow that chaos stopped my world. I watched her scan the shelves, fingers dancing over paperbacks like they mattered. All I remember is her voice asking the clerk, "Do you have anything that makes you fall in love with life again?" I wanted to say, "I think I just did," but I didn't. Her name was Elena, like a soft whisper you wish you'd hear again. Part 2. We started seeing each other every weekend, always at the same coffee shop near the bookstore. She'd order a vanilla latte with oat milk. I'd just get whatever she got. We never really talked about our feelings, but they were there, in the way our knees would touch under the table and neither of us moved. One Saturday, I brought her a small leather-bound notebook. "For your thoughts," I said. She looked surprised. "What makes you think I want to write them down?" I shrugged. "Everyone wants to be remembered." She didn't say anything at first, but then she opened the journal and wrote on the first page, "Maybe I don't want to be remembered. Maybe I just want to be understood." That line haunted me for days. I was trying to remember everything about her favorite words, how she tilted her head when thinking, the way she hummed songs she didn't know the lyrics to. Maybe she just wanted someone to feel what she felt. Not explain it, not fix it, just feel it. Part 3. A few weeks later, we were walking by the river. She asked me, "Have you ever been in love with someone you didn't understand at all?" I nodded slowly. "I think that's the only kind of love I know." She smiled at me. Not the kind of smile you give to someone who says something sweet, but the kind you give when someone says something real. The town had a small, cozy festival every October. Nothing fancy, just string lights, food trucks, and local bands. She loved it, said it made her feel like the world was still soft. She wore that same red scarf, the one that never quite matched anything. We walked under the lights, her hand in mine, and everything around us blurred into background noise. "If you could pause time," she asked, "would you stop it right here?" I looked around, the lanterns flickering, children laughing, her face lit by an orange glow. "Yeah," I said, "I would." Part 4. But then, slowly, the distance grew. A shorter text, a canceled plan, a longer silence. I asked her if everything was okay. She said yes, but her eyes said no. One night, she didn't show up for dinner. I waited outside her apartment in the rain, no answer. I sat on the curb for an hour. When she finally called, her voice cracked. "I didn't mean to disappear." "Then why did you?" Silence. "Because I'm afraid you'll see me and stop loving me." That hit harder than I expected. I wasn't mad. I was scared too. Scared that maybe I wasn't enough to keep her from drifting. That night, we sat in silence in my car, her head on my shoulder, the windows fogged. Sometimes storms don't need thunder. Sometimes the quiet ones leave the biggest mess. Part 5. Weeks later, I found the notebook, the one I gave her, tucked inside my jacket pocket after she left one morning. I shouldn't have opened it, but my hands moved before my brain caught up. The pages were chaos. Ink smudged from tears, words crossed out. "Sometimes I feel like a ghost pretending to be a girl. He deserves someone whole. I don't even know if I have pieces left. But when he reads to me, I forget. For a minute, I'm real." I stopped reading. Not because I was scared of what else I'd find, but because I'd already read enough to know. I loved her more than she knew how to love herself. I wanted to tell her, but instead I left the journal back on her pillow and added one page at the end. "You don't have to be whole. I'm not here to fix you. I'm just here to stay." Part 6. "Bring nothing but your voice," she said. I showed up at midnight, hoodie, coffee, and a head full of questions. She climbed the fire escape and I followed. The city looked small from up there, the stars barely visible. But she didn't need stars. She made her own light. We lay side by side, arms brushing. "Tell me a story," she said. So I made one up. A boy who found a girl in a dream and couldn't wake up because reality felt too empty. "Does he ever wake up?" she asked. "No," I said. "But not because he's asleep." Because he finally found something worth staying for. She looked over at me, eyes full of everything she couldn't say. "Thank you," she whispered, "for making me feel like someone worth writing about." I didn't say anything. I just held her hand until morning. Part 7. She disappeared again, this time with no warning. Just a note. I needed space. "I'm sorry. I'll be back. I promise." Days passed, then a week. I checked her apartment, empty. I kept going back to the bookstore, same corner, same seat, same hope. Then one Sunday, the clerk handed me an envelope. Inside was a copy of Neruda's poems and a note written on the back of a coffee receipt. "You make the world quiet, and I don't know how to live without noise yet. But I'm learning. If you're still there, I'm coming back." I read it twice, then folded it up and kept it in my wallet. Because sometimes love isn't a loud declaration. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, "I'm trying." Part 8. December came with snow. I had stopped checking my phone every hour. I told myself I was over it. I wasn't. That night I heard a knock. I opened the door, and there she was. Hair wet, cheeks red, same scarf, same eyes. "I'm tired," she said. "Of running?" I asked. She nodded. "Of not knowing what it's like to stay." I didn't speak, just stepped aside and let her in. We sat on the floor, no lights, just the sound of our breathing. "I'm not healed," she whispered. "I don't need you healed," I replied. "I just need you here." Part 9. It's been 2 years now. She still gets quiet sometimes, still disappears for an hour or two. But now she always comes back. We drink coffee in silence, watch old movies on rainy nights. Sometimes she reads her journal aloud, the same one. She added new pages. I used to think I was too much, but he holds all of me like I'm a story worth telling. Every October, we go to the festival. She dances barefoot in the grass, still spinning, still laughing. And I just stand there, still in awe. Because when autumn came again, she didn't just return. She stayed. Part 10. I remember the first time I wrote her a poem. It was late, the kind of night when the city sleeps but your mind races. I wasn't sure if she'd like it, but when she read it, tears welled up in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me you could write like this?" she whispered. "Because I wanted you to see me through my words." We sat on the balcony, the world quiet beneath us. That night, I realized love isn't about fixing someone. It's about holding space for them to be themselves. And sometimes that's the hardest story to write. Part 11. The days grew colder, but our bond only grew stronger. She shared stories from her childhood, the fears she never voiced. I listened, not trying to solve, just to understand. One evening, she handed me a photograph of a little girl with hopeful eyes. "That's me," she said softly. "I was lost back then, but you helped me find my way." I smiled, knowing our story wasn't just about two people. It was about healing. Together. Love isn't perfect, but it's real. And that's what makes it worth every moment. Part 12. There were still hard days. Days when the past haunted her like shadows at dusk. She'd sometimes retreat into silence, walls going up again. But I stayed. Because love isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. One rainy afternoon, we sat by the window watching drops race down the glass. She rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "Thank you for not giving up." I kissed her forehead, knowing the journey was just as important as the destination. And I was ready for every step. Part 13. Spring came, and with it, new beginnings. She planted flowers on the balcony, bright colors against gray skies. We laughed as petals fell onto our laps. She told me, "I'm learning to live again." I nodded, feeling hope bloom between us. We made plans, not for grand adventures, but simple moments, walks, coffee, shared books. Because love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, like the earth turning beneath our feet. And that was enough. Part 14. One night, under a sky full of stars, she asked me if I believed in forever. I thought about the storms and the calm, the laughter and tears. "I believe in staying," I said. She smiled, the kind that makes you believe in something bigger than yourself. Then let's promise to stay for all the autumns to come. We held hands, the future uncertain but ours to write. Because love is not just a feeling, it's a choice. And I chose her. Part 15. Now, years later, we sit by the fire, wrapped in blankets, watching the leaves fall. Our story isn't perfect. There were moments of doubt, fear, and pain. But through it all, we found each other. She still wears that red scarf sometimes, and I still write stories. For her, for us. Our love is like autumn, beautiful, changing, and forever alive. And as the seasons turn, I know one thing for sure. When autumn came again, she didn't just return. She stayed. And so did I.